In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful, I'm here today to present my research study on the topic qualitative study of error treatment practices in teaching English to university students in EFL perspective in Saudi Arabia. I'm Dr. Muhammad Saboor, Head English Language Research Team, the University, Saudi Arabia. Let me present to you first of all the outline of my presentation. First of all, I'll give you the introduction. I'll open the topic of it to catch your kind attention and focus. Next, I will give you the research question of the present project. It will be followed by the methodology which I used in this project, and then I will present to you the major findings of this research study. Finally, I will give the recommendations in the light of this research work. As for the background of this study, it's mainly related to the two schools of thought. One school of thought is the teachers believing in traditional approach towards error treatment, and they basically believe in GTM, grammar translation method. And in GTM, mainly the teachers, they believe that they are the only source of knowledge, and all knowledge flows from the teacher to the students, and they are the ones responsible to carry out the correction task in the class, and there is excessive correction work in the class. On the other hand, we have the teachers believing in approaches like communicative approach, and this approach and approaches like this, they almost abandon error correction in language teaching and emphasize on meaning instead of form. And the opposition was mainly because of the negative effect of error treatment, error correction on the learners and the learning process. For the present study, Hendrickson presents the theoretical framework as he gave a neutral vision of what, why, when, and how errors should be corrected. The purpose of this study is to explore the similarities and differences of perception between the male and female EFL teachers of the errors committed by Saudi university students and teachers' error treatment practices in EFL perspective. In particular, Saudi Arabia presents a peculiar situation because here there are gender-based differences, and education in particular is distinctly segregated by gender. There are separate classes for females and separate campuses, and there are many research studies which found out that there are gender-based differences and they have an impact on the teaching practices of EFL teachers also. So carrying on this concept, I have tried to explore the differences of perception in EFL teachers, in males and female EFL teachers. First of all, let me here talk about error and how it is different from mistake. A mistake is a performance error. It is failure on the part of the student to use a known system correctly in a particular context. On the other hand, an error is a noticeable deviation from adult grammar of a native speaker, reflecting the inter-language competence of the learner. Now here you can see that error is something positive, it's something pleasing, and EFL teachers should welcome errors in the class. And when I say inter-language competence, it is mainly the second language learner system that has a structurally intermediate status between the native and target language of the learner. There are other causes of errors like intralingual transfer and cultural interference and insufficient linguistic knowledge. I'll not go in detail because of the shortage of time, and the time available to me is quite short. Moving on, regarding timing of error correction, Hendrickson distinguishes between global errors and systematic errors. Global errors need not be corrected immediately, but systematic errors, that affect the communication system must be corrected there and then. There are different types of feedback, and generally there is a distinction between the two kinds of feedback provided by EFL teachers. One is explicit or direct feedback, and the other is implicit or indirect feedback. Like implicit feedback, like making use of repetition, recast, clarification requests, facial expressions, and confirmation checks. The teacher has the choice of either providing unfocused feedback with extensive correction or focused feedback with intensive correction, depending on his teaching creed and theoretical position. I think explicit, it goes more with behavioristic school of thought, and implicit, it is more with, it's a principle in GTM also, and it's also there with mentalist school of thought. The ways of error correction, there is self-correction, and then we have peer correction, and then there is teacher correction. The present study intends to, as I mentioned earlier, explore the differences between male and female teachers' perception and teaching creeds about error correction in language teaching EFL context. And it also tends to see whether they correct all oral or written errors or are selective in their feedback. And it also tries to explore whether they believe in traditional or innovative approach to error treatment, in being implicit or explicit, in correcting immediately or delaying it, or in using comments or no comments in error correction. The research question which I formulated for this project, it was what are the error treatment perceptions of male and female EFL teachers in teaching English to adult learners, university students in Saudi Arabia. The research tool which I administered in this project, it was qualitative, because qualitative method is the one which is best for gauging the perception and opinion of the target population. And I conducted an interview with 25 male and 25 female EFL teachers. The interviews were recorded, transcribed, and then used for the qualitative data analysis, and there were different themes which emerged as a result of the analysis. This is a brief overview of the tool used. As you can see, I'm presenting it to you to give you some food for thought. How do you view errors committed by your students in your English class in Saudi Arabia? How do you treat the errors committed by your students in English grammar? Do you believe teachers' correction is more important, or peer correction works better in Saudi Arabia? Do you think that students' grammatical errors should always be corrected? How would you compare and contrast the correction work on written and oral grammatical errors of your Saudi students? Can error correction affect students negatively? If yes, how? And how can we correct their errors without affecting them negatively? Do you believe that language teachers should use comments for error correction? What, in your opinion, is the right time for correcting the errors? What are your reservations and recommendations for the current grammatical error treatment practices in Saudi Arabia? I'll present to you my findings now. My first finding was on the theme of error as signs of learning. All male and female EFL teachers agree that errors are natural to occur and are a sign of language development. Major causes of error are first, language interference, difficulty within the target language, and lack of motivation and attention within the class. The last point was raised by female teachers. My second research finding was on the theme of error treatment practices. All male and female EFL teachers agree that error treatment is an unavoidable sensitive issue. In oral activities, they usually gloss over the global errors and correct systematic errors. However, in writing activities, they tend to correct all errors. A variety of ways are used for correction: self-correction, peer correction, teacher correction, like echoing, hinting, and prompting, making a note of common errors followed by discussion, non-verbal ways, gestures, reformulation, and explanation. My third research finding is about teacher versus peer correction, and there is uniformity in the responses of male and female EFL teachers in that they use both methods of correction because they think that some students feel more relaxed in peer correction, but some others rely more on teacher correction. Teacher correction is considered more reliable, appropriate, accurate, comprehensive, and satisfying for both teachers and students. Peer correction boosts the students' motivation, promotes cooperative learning, gives students a chance to have a lot of students' interaction and autonomy, and makes the students take some responsibility for their learning, and hence they gain confidence. So teacher correction is necessary, but it may follow self-correction and peer correction for better results. Very quickly, I present the fourth research finding regarding frequency of error correction. And there is division among the teachers not based on the gender, but based on their teaching needs. A group of teachers from both male and female sides favors correcting all errors because they believe that this is the natural way of learning. And another school of thought from both sides suggests that all errors should not be corrected because too much correction has negative effects on students. Correct only if the purpose of activity is not fluency or if an error impedes the communication. So error correction depends on the nature of the error itself, the context of error, the purpose of activity in which the error is committed, and teachers' knowledge of the learner's linguistic stage of development. My fifth research finding was psychological impact of error treatment, and all the participants, they agreed that error correction if it's not done sensibly, it will bring more harm than good, and this will reduce, it will snatch the confidence and self-esteem of the learners. So there is a pleasing realization and awareness among all male and female EFL teachers about the key factors that can make the process of error treatment positive or negative. That is, amount of correction, time of correction, and manner of correction. If a teacher handles students' errors correction strategically, keeping these factors in view, he or she would be able to save students from the negative effects of correction process. My last finding is on the theme of need and impact of teachers' comments in error treatment. And all the male and female teachers agree that it's essential for the teacher to use comments on the student's performance, explanation of the rules, the reason for correction, or some words of praise and encouragement. So, majority of teachers from both sides uphold that comments should be used and they should be brief, clear, and positive. The teacher should be prudent, wise, unprejudiced, patient, and kind while commenting for error correction. In the light of the research, there are a few recommendations in the end I want to give. And these are that EFL teachers should be given in-service teacher trainings to get the advanced knowledge of the variety of ways of treating errors to make the process safe and productive for both the teachers and the students. And in order to deal with the effective side effects of error correction process, EFL students' beliefs and perceptions regarding the error treatment may also be taken into account in future research, and the results be shared with the teachers so that they may rectify their perceptions and practices accordingly for the optimum results in their EFL class. This is a list of references which I've used in this presentation, and you can see.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Muhammad Saboor. Yes, you have a question? Yes. Just only one question.
Okay, is there any mic, or just say it like this? Anyway, my question is about the methodology you used. You said, can you hear me, please?
Qualitative, yes.
It's about the paradigm. I'm not talking about the paradigm, sorry, whether it is qualitative or quantitative, which is good. But I'm talking about, you said that you are using structured. Actually, why did you use the structured one? I mean, you are studying the beliefs of the teachers. And in studies like this, where you look at the beliefs and perceptions, it's quite common to go for the unstructured or at least the semi-structured interview. So why did you opt to go through this method?
Actually, by using structured interview, I wanted to give representation to maximum number of people. Number game also came into, in this study.
You could join them together with the unstructured one.
Unstructured interview, you have to choose some most representative ones, and the only criteria is saturation point. You reach the saturation point, you stop the interview. So I wanted to just quantify the qualitative method also in a way. How many responses in one direction, and how many people they go in the other direction. So that has helped me in that way, using the structured.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Muhammad, and thank you for the questions. Thank you. And we have now the last presentation for